to right the ship here at home. Game is what we're expecting, this atmosphere, a sellout crowd that arena, as Indiana starts off with the rock stand for Atlanta and a new territory for them. Indiana off the rip, and Melissa Smith going shot clock underneath. Kelsey Mitchell able to get the move under.
Quick, and she likes to move with and without the ball.
Or deflected out of bounds. Atlanta will get it underneath. For them, starting off 0-5 and being able to really right the ship. We didn't get the confirmation.
I know, we got about it.
Maybe at halftime. With the Caitlin Clark assignment, Smith actually came off of the bench for the first time this season against Caitlin Clark. Blocked by Haley Jones. Welcome to Atlanta. Cheyenne Parker tight. Christy Wallace at the rim, and so
in the ATL.
It's here actually at
4.5 rebounds that you see on the stand at point guard. Played multiple positions in her defense this season.
As Alicia Gray pulls up. That one rims in, and that
he does well every time down the floor. It tries to.
So back-to-back buckets for the Fever.
There by Melissa Smith. Gets an open three-point
to contain Clark, but then you also have Kelsey Mitchell who gets the ball.
A silky smooth pull-up. In and out, pick up the ball early and take away the vision of the ball handler.
Tina Charles with her second touch
in her arsenal, including the hook shot.
Smith outside. We talked about the #1 overall draft picks.
For Alicia Gray to get going offensively in this game.
Nia Coffey coming off a game where she hit 4 triples off the mark.
Mitchell likes to strike.
Wallace left alone and another. But Atlanta
can hit that shot consistently. It opens up things for her in
season. She frees up space. What a find by Gray. Coming off one of her best seasons in her career.
Defense in shoot around. They are going to double.
Coming off the bench.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at Aerial Powers, she scores. So important for the Dream's momentum.
One possession game, Haley Jones spin around, finds the bucket. Atlanta has numbers, bounce pass up the floor. Tina Charles connects. Goes to another steal for Atlanta. Wallace at Pop. With some contact.
Of 11 points against Minnesota, 6 rebounds, 2 assists.
So something that she wants to build on. Backdoor, Aerial Powers.
They get an easy one.
Kelsey Mitchell
is up and fired
at 24 points against them.
3 higher than what she's shooting from the field. And right now,
Gray outside 3 ball short. Let's see Tanisha Wright. Tina Charles, that was deflected. Leah Boston, that wingspan that she's also giving on the other side.
The next up superstar at the center position in the league.
A lot of attention on Clark outside as this, but I don't think that's indicative on what they've been able to be in the last 4 nights. Mention how they are able to get things right away.
The clock has been really impressive. Today, you know, this is a team that's not only young, but to add on to the expectations and a tough schedule.
That should send Indiana to the free throw line as they're in the bonus. Now Indiana just looks smooth on the offensive end. Now, or go to the WNBA app to vote daily on
the U.S. Olympic team, our national team, against the returning, and Asia Wilson, #1.
Who's number 2 and 3?
Caitlin Clark is number 2.
Who's had some minutes sparingly in the last few games.
Dream and camp last season, and
Tanisha shot clock. Dangerfield holding up Erica Wheeler at the top of your screen. Pulls up, midi, every part of the rim.
5 days rest. Well, they've won 3 of their last 4. So down and being more intentional about their offense in general.
And I'd be a better leader for this group, and that's something we've seen in the
points for Indiana. The Dream have to find some defense.
When we talked to the coaches, they said defensively we feel like we're league, and they held them to 68 points. Now how can they? Left shoulder. It's pretty much
position down low.
This is the biggest lead for the Fever. It has been unbelievable, 72%. That's Tina Charles, touch pass to Nia Coffey in the corner, in and out. Bounce pass, and that's broken up by Powers, baseline, off the mark.
She comes in, she is expected to check in and add.
Showing post moves. And Clark. Smith pulls up and
post, and that's something else that Christy Sides talked about is when
earlier this season
So they come back and they set up a play. Defensively, and you're trying to close out. You know what Lou is capable
by a Golden State showdown between Bay FC and Alicia Gray checks back in for Atlanta as aerial power. Haley Jones held up and able to.
But Jones just muscling it up. She's trying to.
Haley Jones after Stanford being good Atlanta dream. She's been thrust into the point guard position.
They're anticipating her return any day now.
Canada, we're told, is trending in the right direction. Hopefully we'll be able to see her before the All-Star break as another turnover for Atlanta. This will be their third. Caitlin Clark asks for the ball, and that's why.
And that is why Caitlin Clark is so dangerous, is that you think you have her defended from three, but she has the ability to get the shot up and over the defense.
Gets the ball back. Clark already with 2 triples on the night. Puts it off the deck, held up in the paint, and a travel call, which will lead to the 5th for the Fever.
Nice, just waiting for Clark off of the bounce.
Fever leading 45-2.
Let's go, Dream!
Indiana, or Atlanta rather, looking for their first field goal of the second quarter. A defensive 3-second violation call against Indiana.
A couple keys for Atlanta right now as they try to close this gap is slow the pace of the Indiana Fever. They also have to make this a more physical game. They're giving Indiana way too much space defensively. They got to make them uncomfortable.
And we'll send it to Tabitha.
Yeah, guys, Tanisha Wright was pretty passionate with her team in that last huddle, yelling to them passionately saying, listen, we're too worried about the referees. Everything is about the referees. We have to be able to make plays and be intentional, have multiple efforts, pressure the ball, and help the helper guys.
I agree. That ball pressure has to be there at all times. Indiana's just able to move the ball right now offensively in any way they want. They're spreading the floor. Their floor spacing is good, and Atlanta just is not communicating defensively.
Indiana is shooting 65% from the floor, and they're shooting 66% from three. That is something that we watched in shoot-around, where she made sure her team understood that it was instilled. You have to have a hand in their face.
And you also have to just guard your one-on-one assignment. Like, you cannot stay in help rotation.
Deflection by Hull. Atlanta gets it back, and Tina Charles able to get them their first bucket of the quarter.
Tina Charles is used to making buckets under pressure. That is what she has done throughout her career at multiple levels.
Tina Charles just had 2 points against Indiana in their last possession, but Caitlin Clark likes the rims.
Yeah, a little two-man game there by Indiana, and somebody has to get the hand up in Caitlin Clark's face.
A lot of contact underneath, and an offensive foul will go against Charles, and Alyssa Smith was holding her face for a second.
No one gets out to contest.
Caitlin with 9 points, all coming from distance as Kelsey Mitchell checks back in the ball game. Hull will take a seat, and here comes Indiana with the rock. Less than 5 minutes in the half. Indiana riding a 3-game win streak, looking to win on the road though, as they are just 2-6.
Yeah, they were able to go home, get their confidence, win those 3 games in front of their home crowd, and now they're hoping that that translates to this road stretch. And so far, with 4:06 left in the second quarter, it's looking good.
Have a 4-game win streak at home. Chrissy Sides mentioned, as Tabitha told us earlier after that Chicago game, what they've been able to do together since that point. Winning 5 of the last 7 games. 9 on the shot clock. Melissa Smith gets the pass from Clark, but short on the attempt. Up the court, Tina Charles gets the bucket, and that's a rare look up the floor for Atlanta.
Haley Jones has made some nice passes up the floor in this game, but you're right, Angel, not enough. Good find, and Tina Charles running to the cup.
More pressure from Haley Jones up top. And a technical is going to be assessed against Tanisha Wright.
She definitely gets Clark on the arm. That's no doubt. Now, what it looks like Haley is saying is that Clark is also pushing off. But as you know, Angel, it's the timing of whatever the officials see in that moment, and that was a foul on Jones.
That attempt, they do get it back on the sideline.
And Tanisha Wright's trying to fire up her team here. Big crowd here in Atlanta. Great opportunity. She's trying to get her team to wake up a little bit on the defensive end.
And a travel call underneath. Aaliyah Boston trying to find some position against Tina Charles. So that's the 6th turnover for Indiana. Atlanta gets it back. You have to
Absolutely.
get a touch here with 11 points.
You have to. I mean, between Tina Charles and Alicia Gray, you've got to run your offense around those two players, but everyone else has to be ready to score.
On cue, she gets the touch, gets her rebound, and gets the bucket.
And she is not happy with what she feels like is some fouling happening right now. Atlanta Dream basketball.
And you talked about Tanisha Wright trying to fire up her group. Tina Charles, who was also her teammate, fired up as well.
Tina is not going to back down in the post. And here she doesn't get it to go the first time. No one grabs the rebound, goes right back up with it.
That's a championship presented by Coinbase. LaChina, I think you're going to be a part of that as well. Minnesota and New York punching their tickets for that. For more on these games, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app.
I cannot wait for the Commissioner's Cup. How about the Minnesota Lynx? Probably the biggest surprise for me in the WNBA standings right now is how well Cheryl Reed's team.
But the balance we've seen from that roster has been very impressive, as there's a foul that will send Alicia Gray to the free throw line.
And Kayla McBride.
Lethal shooting from outside. We mentioned it, just seeing them a couple of days ago, shooting 50% from 3.
Just unreal. I mean, she put a lot of work into that. You got to also credit assistant coach Katie Smith, the legend herself, who has worked tirelessly with Kayla McBride on that shot, on that confidence, and all the above.
And if you like her performance this season, you got to send her to Phoenix.
I mean, those fan votes, y'all need to get McBride up in that list. I don't know how she's down there, you know, where she's somewhere around 30. Come on now.
So Gray knocks down the free throws. Less than 3 minutes here in the second quarter. Naz Hillman in the ball game for Atlanta. Nia Coffey guarding Caitlin Clark now, and that was all but down for Caitlin. Gray putting on the Jets at the rim. You ask for more offense, especially with Ryan Howard.
In the half court, though, they have to move the basketball and have more patience. They can't play at the same pace that Indiana can play at this point in the game. They've got to slow it down, keep going in the post to Tina Charles, try to get the ball to third side. You're missing Ryan, and keeping that in mind, some other players have to knock down shots.
Yep, absolutely, and pace is different for both sides. You mentioned just the fluid offense that we're seeing from Indiana, as Atlanta now on an 8-0 run. And their pace working for them because of the looks they're getting up the floor.
And probably 8-0 since Tanisha Wright got that technical.
It's a good point, as Aaliyah Boston changes that narrative with a look at the rim.
That's a tough shot. Splitting the double team, that is a difficult shot.
Just looks so different over the last few games, and the battle we're seeing between Boston and Charles has been a lot of fun. Third foul for Aaliyah Boston, though, so Melissa Smith quickly jumps off the bench. Claire Aubrey and Tyler Ricks also the officials for tonight. It's like a dissertation. They've been talking to both sides for quite some time.
The dissertation. I see what you're getting at here, Angel.
So Tina Charles now at the free throw line.
And that's one reason you bring Tina Charles to Atlanta in the offseason is Tanisha Wright, Dan Padover at the end of the day said we need more talent. And you see the need for that right now with Ryan out, to have someone else that can be a consistent scorer.
How about Ariel Powers, too, with 7 points off of the bench, the only bench scorer for Atlanta tonight.
And that's just a good old blow-by by Kelsey Mitchell. I don't know where help side defense is, but it needs to be present when Kelsey Mitchell is on the drive from the wing.
It's like you see her and then you don't. Backdoor for Naz Hillman, nothing there. Charles called her own number. And roll that one in as Samuelson pushes it up the floor. Katie Lou finds Clark. A lot of contact off the drive by Haley Jones, so that'll be another foul for her, which is her second. Clark with her second double-double of the season, had 12 rebounds. Told the media, I've done that a couple of times in, college, if you've been following much, but don't get used to it.
Yeah, she said don't get used to it, though. Not giving herself enough credit. I actually predicted that Caitlin Clark would average right around a triple-double in the WNBA, or be flirting, every night with a triple-double in the W.
Less than a minute to play here in the first half. Nalissa Smith facing up against Tina Charles. The bump there. It will be on the floor. 2, and Tina Charles now with 3. So Aaliyah Boston went to the bench earlier with 3, and now Tina Charles flirting with some foul trouble as well.
So you can see why all that negotiating was happening, because no one wants 3 fouls in the first half.
Off the mark for Smith on the first one. Tina Charles will take a seat with Cheyenne Parker-Tyus checking back in the ball game. Melissa Smith, a 73% free throw shooter on the season. One of the 4 players rather, averaging double figures on this roster, and in and out on the second attempt. 4 players rather, averaging double figures on this roster, and in and out on the second attempt. Dangerfield in the game for Atlanta. Dangerfield in the game for Atlanta. Execution for Gray to get the rock on the baseline. High arcing, just short.
And that's the right play. Run to perfection with the screen and all.
Gap D by Gray. Cheyenne Parker-Tyus trying to hold up Smith, and 1.
Cheyenne was too late to impact that play on that foul right there. She's now trying to play Nalissa Smith after Smith has cut in front of her. You got to jump to the ball, not allow her to catch it there. And Smith to get to the free throw line.
That's what I was going to say. Just you mentioned, too. It knocks down the shot.
And she's like to float on the perimeter early in her WNBA career, more from the outside, but she's been taking on that challenge of being that toughness in the middle more often this season.
Kelsey Mitchell able to get the rebound off of the free throw attempt for Fever. Cheyenne on Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey, 3 ball, good. Kelsey Mitchell in double figures. 6 on the game clock. And a foul underneath for Samuelson. Naz Hillman was trying to do her work early. As both teams are in the bonus, free throws on the way for, and one of the sharp minds for Atlanta as well. And stay tuned to Ion for more electrifying entertainment all day, every day, including action-packed dramas like Law and Order SVU and Chicago Fire. Live women's sports and more on Ion.
Look at that lineup.
That's a lot.
A lot of fun.
That was a cartoon, actually, yeah. 3.6 left. Caitlin Clark looking at the rim to see if she can get anything off, but says, I'll just hold it. Doesn't want to take away from that percentage, as Indiana has done their work in the first half. And 2 players in double figures, Kelsey Mitchell with 14.
Echoing what you said, Paul Goris at halftime gave me some adjustments. He said, Indiana's getting too many straight line drives. Our help side defense needs to be better. We need more secondary efforts and to get out to three-point shooters. And he said, offensively, we've got to get the ball back into Tina Charles and let her go to work. Play with more pace.
The rest of Atlanta, 7 for 24, 29% from the floor.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, Tina Charles was working, but everyone else has got to be prepared to take shots in and around the offense, and in particular, Alicia Gray. Without the services of Ryan Howard, you need some scoring from the outside, and definitely from the three-point line. The Dream was 0 for 2 from 3 in the second quarter.
In that previous play, there was a defensive 3-second. It does go to Atlanta. So 14 on the shot clock, and Atlanta will see the adjustments that they're going to make out of half. That everything worked first. Nas Tillman, Nia Coffey, Tina Charles, who has the 3 fouls that she picked up in the first half. Gray and Nia Coffey. Or Haley Jones, excuse me. Six on the shot clock. Gray releases in short. Nas Tillman tracks down the rebound. And it's just tough to pass over the outstretched hands of Aaliyah Boston with 2 deflections in that series.
Boy, the interior defense for the Indiana Fever.
Body movement should be another thing that...
And that did kind of ignite Atlanta some, but they closed the second quarter with just giving up too many points. Their defense was not what it needed to be.
Caitlin Clark, who had 7 points against Atlanta in their first meeting, has 9 now. Kelsey Mitchell, guarded by Nia Coffey, getting the assignment in the second half. Boston, beautiful dive to the rim. The connection you talked about earlier in the ball game, we're seeing from them leading to their success.
And when she gets a screen, it's not always for the score. Sometimes she's looking to pass, and that's exactly what happened in that possession. The screen freed up a passer.
Caitlin Clark has 5 assists. And most of them going to Melissa Smith, who has been a huge performance in this game so far, and Clark off the mark there. Gray briefly lost handle, able to get it back, and that interior look just not on target for Atlanta. They will get the ball back 12.
And Angel, you and I talked about it at half, but also option on the offensive end. Angel, you and I talked about it at half, but also her defense and how underrated it is, and the number of ways she can plug the gaps and clean up mistakes on the defensive end.
6'2" guard as Atlanta steps on the sideline, leading to another turnover. That will be their 6th. Seen her throughout games, really protecting that second line on the backside.
And that's what Coach Goris spoke to Tabitha about, is the second line of defense, that help defense on straight line drives.
So Atlanta able to get the tie up. It will be between Haley Jones and Caitlin Clark, I do believe. So Atlanta looking for a spark. Ariel. Tina Charles at the rim, misses the mark, but we'll get 2 free throws.
Soft hands, she makes great catches. And that was an easy finish.
Tina Charles, who had 15 at half, coming off of back-to-back double-doubles, picked up her 5th double-double of the season in her first year in this system. Kelsey Mitchell, Tina Charles, backs off. Kelsey Mitchell makes her pay.
A favorable switch. A lot of guards love it when a post player is lined up in front of them, because they can create that space to get the shot off, and the quick release as well with Kelsey Mitchell.
The and one on the other end. So Atlanta will have an opportunity for the three-point play, but.
And that's the player.
So Aerial Powers will check in. Mia Coffey will take a. Haley Jones able to finish at the free throw line.
Great job by Atlanta in this possession. Aerial Powers really not giving Caitlin Clark any room to breathe.
The double team on Aaliyah Boston leads to a turnover. Gray at the rim is able to draw the foul. There's the pace you wanted.
And it started with the intensity of the defense on the ball on the other end. The double, Haley Jones does a good job, gets a deflection, and you are off and running.
So there's a timeout on the floor. Atlanta able to turn some defense into.
But the foul will be on Alyssa Smith.
And then also Indiana will also have their challenge. Been perfect from the free throw line, 4 for 4, but has seen better nights at the office from the field. 2 for 10 in this ball game.
And that's coming off of a challenging offensive showing in Minnesota where she was 1 for 16.
Misses his second pair, but Naz Hillman able to get the rebound. Tina Charles with a head fake, finishing at the rim. That's vintage TC.
Again, we haven't seen her make the same move twice. That time the sweep and go from the mid post. There's really nowhere on the court where Tina Charles can't impact the offense.
And here comes Mitchell, sends it off to Smith. That's beautiful offense from Indiana.
Nice pass to the weak side. Atlanta is closing out, doesn't get there in time on Smith.
Indiana 17 assists on 25 made field goals as Haley Jones trying to be a part of the action on the offensive end.
And that's also been successful offense for Atlanta's getting Haley Jones into the post with Caitlin Clark on her back.
8 points for Jones. Rebound to Gray. Atlanta's running. Sends it up to Naz Hillman off the fingertips. It gets tipped though, so it will stay with Atlanta. Kelsey Mitchell is able to make the decision. She pass it out, pinpoint.
She couldn't even see. She couldn't even see her.
Gray off the deck, draws the foul, and Clark will be assessed the foul. That will be her second.
Got to the free throw line.
So Gray will see more free throws. Between her and Tina Charles, they have been to the free throw line on 4 different occasions tonight. Lorella Kubai will check in for Tina Charles. Tina Charles has her 4th 20-point game this season.
She's so skilled. I mean, she can shoot it. Her footwork is impeccable. She has great hands. She has been a huge asset for this shorthanded Atlanta Dream offense. The vet.
Atlanta without the likes of Ryan Howard, who had 26 points against Indiana in their first meeting, actually tied her career high 6 triples. So Atlanta seeing who pulls up as Aaliyah Boston. Spin cycle in a bucket.
Got to know where your help is coming from. Kubai's got to cover the baseline because her help is coming topside.
Gray with the bucket. They'll need more back.
And what a start to this third quarter for Alicia Gray. Much needed for the Dream.
Atlanta outscoring Indiana 16-9 in this frame. Gray sends it out. 3 ball. Short by Powers.
But this is the intensity on defense that has started this run for Atlanta. The help side's got to be there.
How about the finish at the other end for Clark?
You got to cover. I mean, Aerial Powers is shifting the mindset defensively by really playing up on Clark. You got to have some help side on the backside.
And that's what Tabitha was mentioning out of the break. It can't just be one-on-one. Who's going to step?
Right here, Aerial Powers really pressing up on Clark, but Clark's got some speed off of the bounce, and help defense does not get there in time to impact it. Look at Caitlin Clark getting her shoulders past the defense, and that's the straight line drive, absolutely, that Tabitha mentioned.
Games, 2 30-point games this season. And now in double figures. 7 on the shot clock. Gray off the bounce again. taps it out. Atlanta with another look at the rim. Underneath, Gray was demanding the ball, and a very good pass from the corner for AP.
Alicia Gray is on these free throw opportunities. That's the important aspect of this, and they've done that tonight, 19 for 21.
And with 4:15 left in the third quarter, they're in the bonus. So the level of aggression that we're seeing at the rim, they're really putting their foot on the gas in the open court.
And I go back to the change in defensive assignment by Tanisha Wright in this third quarter. It has set a different tone and a very different message, even coming off of the bench with AP as well.
Erica Wheeler checks in for Indiana. Gray, 17 points so far tonight. She has 8 in this quarter.
The Indiana Fever having to take the ball out of the net a lot more here in this third than we saw in the first half, and that's affected their pace.
Clark outside, and that's good.
Clark just uses the physicality of Aerial Powers to get that shot off.
4 triples for Miss Clark. Three players in double figures for Indiana. Atlanta looking for a third person in double figures, and just off the mark from outside. Clark again, and that will be short. Might have been a heat check as she was seeing that off the release.
Going back to that last bucket by Caitlin Clark right here, is able to keep the dribble alive, uses a little push off to create space on Aerial Powers, no call there. But oftentimes the physicality plays into the way that Clark wants to shoot the ball. That's the left wing where she is very, very capable and comfortable. That's a spot that goes back to Iowa.
And a spot where her number's on the floor. NCAA's record holder for scoring both men and women. It's kind of crazy as a foul underneath is on Clark. You think about Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, who when she left Ohio State was second in scoring.
You're saying there's a lot of buckets on the floor.
I just feel like there's a lot of buckets. So Haley Jones gets 2 free throws. And next Friday night, the Atlanta Dream head north to Connecticut to take on the Sun. That's followed by a clash in the desert between the Sparks and the Mercury. It's a WNBA on Ion Friday nights all season long.
And sending our love to Cameron Brink, who will be out for the rest of the season after tearing her ACL. Cam, you're going to come back stronger and better. We are all with you with loves and prayers.
Absolutely. Alyssa Smith, a power move underneath.
Yeah, that again, who has been able to stop Alyssa Smith down low?
So far, no one. 15 points for Alyssa Smith, 5 rebounds to add to that stat line. Less than 3 minutes to go in the third frame. Haley Jones working baseline up and under, no good. Clark left alone. Bad idea.
I don't know where the defense is.
And with that, it's the communication that Tanisha Wright has been very vocal about, has been the foundation for Dream defense.
Basket. I mean, there's no one home. Right there, you got to sprint back, then turn and find. And give credit to Caitlin Clark, where she just stays on the attack in the open floor. That's something that goes back to her Iowa days. As soon as that ball is
leading them in that department, has 5 of their 19 on the night. Indiana has led wire to wire as Atlanta has tried to find their footing, have put on a couple of runs.
The old form now that Chelsea's back. I know somewhat limited, not back in full capacity quite yet, but what a great sign for Las Vegas Aces fans.
Yeah, welcome back, Chelsea Gray. Always great to see the point guard back on the floor. We all know that Asia Wilson has been on a tear this season, but
most improved and then most improve your most improved for the next few seasons. She keeps getting better.
So lethal. Charles, the quick turnaround and the foul there. And if that's on Aaliyah Boston, that may be her 4th and a technical foul for theatrics. So the 4th foul for Aaliyah Boston.
This has been a physical matchup. Officials call the contact there on the arm and then on the box out, which looks like it was not the foul that called. Tina caught a bow going for a rebound, looked like in the throat.
Aerial Powers able to knock down the tech free throw. 2 more free throws for Tina Charles.
Great opportunity for Atlanta here. You can cut this down to an 11-point lead, making your free throws, and they just look better in this third quarter as a team on both ends of the floor. More intentional with their offense, more urgency level on the defensive end, and I like the lineups that Tanisha Wright has been using.
You mentioned Atlanta working their way back into this game and doing so from the charity stripe. This is their 28th free throw of the game as Indiana has shot 10.
But you got to capitalize. Yes. Tina missing 2 free. Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell takes a hit to the
toe. Wheeler outside, in and out. Offensive rebound, 3rd attempt as Aaliyah Boston was able to track it down. More contact, and that's what makes Caitlin Clark so dangerous. She can let it fly from anywhere on the.
And that's where, when your second line of defense hasn't been consistent, Haley Jones would normally be able to maybe let her get by her and got the back line ready, but the back line hasn't been awake consistently tonight, and so she puts her hands on her instead to try to stop her.
Aaliyah Boston has been a back line just completely demolishing them.
And when you have Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston on single side together, you cannot help off of Clark. So where can that double come from? It's tough. You can't dig off of Clark in that situation.
15-point lead for Indiana. Inside look, Aerial Powers able to save it back in bounds. Naz Hillman completes it. Powers asking for the ball at the rim, and just off the mark, Naz Hillman.
I thought there was a foul there.
I think everyone in the arena did. And Aerial Powers falling to the floor, one in the contact there as well.
Atlanta needed to be a little more disciplined on that possession. What a perfect bounce pass for a cutting Alyssa Smith.
6 assists for Caitlin Clark, 17 points for Alyssa Smith.
How quickly Indiana can make you pay, either off of their defense, off of a badge about that last shot by Powers. And what she should be looking for in that situation. She wants her to be aggressive, but wants her to do it and be smart.
Swipe at the ball for Erica Wheeler. Atlanta able to retrieve it. Less than a minute to play here in the third. Travel call for Ariel, and one thing that Tanisha has told us is how they have to slow things down.
When you have a point guard on the bench who's won a championship, who can run possessions like Jordan Canada can, that's something you're looking forward to, having that championship level experience at the point to control those situations.
I know Atlanta fans are tired of hearing the updates of how good she looks in practice and ready to see her in a uniform. 2 on the shot clock. Mitchell with the ball, and she cannot get a shot off in time. So great defense for Atlanta out of that 2-time champ with Seattle. Is in the trade for Erin McDonald to bring her from the Sparks in the offseason. 4 on the game clock. Dangerfield off the bounce, working her way to the rim. And no shot attempt for Atlanta. So that will do it for the third. Indiana has been in control.
I forget how animated she is. She has been having conversations and clap-offs with the fans. She is talking to the officials. She is negotiating and talking. I just forgot how engaged outside of the basketball aspect of this she is during the game.
I think a good word for that too is passionate.
Absolutely.
Final frame here at State Farm Arena, and for a record of 11,000 fans previously for a WNBA game here in Atlanta, they have shattered that tonight. The official attendance 17,575.
That is just beautiful. This is the WNBA team of the Southeast. And there's a lot of big women's basketball
in the building. Almost feels like a home game for them, something that they have done pretty well. Winning 4 straight at home, 3 straight overall. And we're seeing a lot of physicality.
In the physicality, should I say, in the second half. You gotta make Indiana uncomfortable. You gotta take away their space.
So that's 3 consecutive fouls. And it could be in the bonus
Very quickly.
very quickly. Five on the shot clock. Boston making a play at the rim. Erica Wheeler rips it around. Couldn't get that one to fall.
Good rebound in the crowd by Naz Hillman.
Gray thought about it, takes it, and gets the bucket.
Good hesitation by Alicia Gray. It's been quite the second half for her offensively.
Saw the 8 points in the third quarter after starting off just 1 for 8 from the field. 9 for 10 from the free throw line, though. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Hole 3 ball good.
The ball movement by the Indiana Fever, inside out, very impressive.
A couple of substitutions coming in for Indiana at the next break. Tina Charles has 22, has matched her season high in another.
And they look like they kind of came out of the locker room friendly after the half, but then it got chippy again.
A lot.
It's like, hey girl, how are you? I'm doing
You
good.
good?
Yeah.
You remember that last play?
We both got 3
So
fouls, but guess what? Commentators are basically commentating what we think the players are saying in those moments.
I love that. Sign me up.
Okay.
I'm a little nervous with you in that, but yes.
You should be.
Gray couldn't get that one to fall, but she has been their offense in this second half. Tina Charles had 15 in the first and 6 right now in this ball game, but it's how Indiana has been able to share the ball. The balance that we're seeing. Samuelson with 8 points off of the bench in her 14 minutes of play.
And their spacing and how quickly and officially they get down the floor. And nice finish there by Naz Hillman, who has been doing a lot of the little things here. I mean, these women are so dynamic. I can't say it enough. Yes, they're outstanding basketball players, but they speak several languages and they have philanthropic and community passions and endeavors, and they're learning trades on the side, and some of them are moms. It's like, what can't they do?
Smith off the mark. Dangerfield thought she had a look for a brief second. Tina Charles.
That's where they got to get the ball.
You're onto something. Another bucket for Tina Charles, now her season high. Smith took a tumble, 9 on the shot. With some decisions to make. Samuelson, top of the key, tray off the mark.
Success in doing that, right idea, poor execution.
Seen a lot of that from her time at Stanford. Erica Wheeler. She's just so crafty. I know the Atlanta fans have seen her before in a dream jersey, but just what she's been able to be for them off of the bench as well. She's also a steady vet for this young group.
She really is, and probably doesn't get the credit for being the steadying force that she is, because she's not always on the floor.
It's just how the chemistry is there. We were able to see them at shoot-around. And Christy Sides mentioned just what the hardest aspect of a team that went through. They start enjoying each other's personalities, enjoying the game. It's so refreshing to see.
I mean, we walked into shoot-around, and the first thing I said to Christy Sides is, it's nice to see you smile. I don't think I saw that for the first few weeks of the season. And actually, I was actually in the building for Indiana's first and second games of the season at Connecticut, and then their first home game against New York. And this team is much more in sync. Their chemistry, the understanding of what's expected on every possession. It's just it's a much more well-oiled machine on the offensive end, which I think takes pressure off of their defense.
And I think Tanisha Wright mentioned it as well. It's a team that understands what they do well and how to fit within that role. Bray got stripped underneath. Have you ever seen her face, though?
She can get a little worked up sometimes. Rare.
Clark receives a pass from Wheeler. That's going to be on the highlight reel. Sharing the ball, knowing where each individual is going to be. You're just putting on a clinic here tonight. Gray loses the handle once again, and that leads to the ninth turnover for Atlanta. Atlanta actually 3-4 at home, just one of 4 teams in the league that have a better road record than at home. Crowd wanted the push off as Haley Jones went streaking across the paint. Aerial Powers with the Euro step, got clipped at the leg, so she'll get.
Indiana has just done an exceptional job with their passing in this game. The no look to a moving Nalissa Smith. If you don't commit as a defender to picking up the ball, to finding the next closest offensive player, you're going to be in trouble with this offense because they found their spacing and it has looked very good tonight.
Aerial Powers with one more on the way from the free due to illness. If you're just joining us, Ryan Howard out. We have not received an update on when she'll be able to return, but right
Your sentiments about Indiana and their continuity on the floor. They've been having some smiles on the bench. Christy Sides has been challenging them up in their face, and they've just been having a couple smiles. We saw Caitlin Clark, Christy Wallace with a couple smiles, and through the adversity, they've seen calm and composed, which is really impressive to me for such a young squad.
Kelsey Mitchell, after their last game, when they mentioned how this streak has been coming alive, she said, yes, you've seen the youth early, but also you have to credit the vets and what it's supposed to look like. Turnover for Atlanta as Kelsey Mitchell able to retrieve it.
Yeah, you kind of forget until you're listening to pressers just the leadership of Kelsey Mitchell and the experience more than anything. How quickly have these years flown by that she is now a veteran voice on this squad. She started off the season injured, and that also added on to the lack of consistency and the experience for this team early on. She had to work her way back, missing training camp. And so they've had a number of adversities, but their perseverance is what stands out at this point in the season.
They might talk about that in the back as Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Smith were battling for that rebound.
Backcourt.
That should have been a backcourt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, it's another bucket for Indiana.
Has to pay attention to where she is, especially her dominance in the last few games. Keeping in mind she had 27 when the Fever beat the Dream at their place. But the Dream is shooting the Fever shooting 58% from the field. So everybody's been scoring and getting it in.
Well, coming up next in our second game, the Connecticut Sun try their luck in Las Vegas against the Aces. It's the WNBA on Ion Friday nights all season long. And you mentioned how Indiana has been very efficient tonight. 57% from the field, 52% from three. Turnover up top, though. But Indiana has shot over 50% in the last 2 games. Kubai asked for the ball back, going at Smith. Couldn't find the angle, and a travel call there. Under the 2-minute mark here in the ball game. We talked about how Fever had found their stride, have won 5 of the last 7 games. How about defensively as well? Gave up 90 or more points in the first, or 5 of their first 9 games. Have only done that once since then.
Well, the Dream shooting 35% from the field, 22%. That just went down.
Their basketball too. Another team that's really found their chemistry with each week.
Yeah, I mean, this stretch for Indiana is important. To get this first win against Atlanta, you know you can take that home win streak on the road with you, and you're going to need it because you're going to go into some of the toughest arenas to play in the WNBA. Back to the drawing board after this one, make some adjustments, and come out ready to go. It's a quick turnaround of the WNBA. You don't have time to sulk over losses or sit in defeat.
So both coaches emptying their bench after that last timeout.
Tina Charles has been really brilliant on the offensive end for the Dream. 24-7. Haley Jones with 12, 5, and 3. I thought she really played with confidence. I know that she was challenged defensively trying to pick up Clark, but I really enjoyed her effort in the way she has been able to carry over a good game in Minnesota to a good game here tonight.
So a foul.
The wealth and doing it at a very efficient rate.
In the fourth consecutive game for Nalissa Smith, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell scoring in double figures. So it's unbelievable to start this season. And Dewana Bonner. As this one will come to a close here at State Farm Arena with Indiana still scorching. They improved to 7-10 on the season, and Atlanta drops to 6.